my friends. I know it's a weird time for me to be here, but I wanted to be sure that you saw and got a chance to check out the new overlay for cards. I know it sounds really screwy, but we can do it. So there's only one in the store right now, but there are a lot more coming this weekend. I have them organized. I just haven't test cut them. And as you know, I test cut everything before I put it out there for you. I want to be sure it's really going to work with our Cricuts. So here's the newest one. It's kind of playing on the overlays, the scrapbook overlays that you can see right along here. It's using the same tulips, the same tulips that are in this one. All right, okay, well, let's go back. So this is the card one, and I'm going to actually do it with you here this afternoon. If you're not watching this live, no worries. Leave me a comment. Let me know that you're here, and we'll come back later. So first thing you're going to do, add this to the bag. Remember where you save it. You're going to download it, and you're going to remember where to save it. You'll also know in the details, I gave you a couple of my little favorites that I use to make this easier. One thing that I use is the cards and envelopes from Close to My Heart. They're all ready to go. They're pre-cut, they're pre-scored, they're super simple. Hey Virginia, welcome. And let me bring you down and show you what I'm talking about here. This is the card bases. They come pre-packed in this one. This is a good one. And the envelopes and the cards are in here. Perfect, easy peasy to work with. Okay, so there's that. And then the other thing, I was trying to see if I could find you the cover so it doesn't just look like this. Oh yeah. And it's the foam dots, but I use the thicker ones. The link is in the description. I put it right in here so that you could find them. But these foam dots are great. They're the right size to go behind little overlays for cards. So you purchase, it downloads, and then you go into Design Space so that you can get going with it, all right? So we go into Design Space. Remember, it's an SVG. You don't have to unzip it. You're just going to upload it. It's right here. Click on it, and that will add it to the canvas. It's that easy, right? Okay, well, we only need one. We don't need two. And I also have something here in this file to show you. This is what you get. You don't get the card base to cut out with your Cricut. Now, if you want to, you can create that too, but sometimes a card base is easier to just do with your trimmer. I have a piece here so that you can see it. This is the card base that you would need if you're going to make your own. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and you're going to score it right down the middle at 4 1/4. Okay? You could let Cricut do that if you want, but I'm telling you, it's pretty simple with a trimmer too. Okay, so we're ready to go. I'm going to say make it. Cricut's going to, I don't have to do anything. That's just the way I brought it in here. This is the basic overlay, and I'm going to let Cricut go ahead. I'm going to talk about this while it's doing it, but I am using White Daisy from Close to My Heart, and oh my goodness, my maker's got to do a lot of thinking here to find this today. When I am broadcasting, it sometimes is challenging for it. Many times I cut it first because I know it's really going to hurt its brain, but we'll be patient. Oh, it's doing it. There it is. Okay, White Daisy, what are you going to use? I use medium cardstock, and my Cricut can do it. I'm using a Cricut Maker, not a New Maker 3. The trick to this of what you need is you want to be sure that you are using the Fine Point Premium Blade and the light blue mat. And I will link both of those under this video later. I did a blog post that gives you all those details, and I will link that for you as soon as I get done. I actually am very risky. I like to live on the edge. I'm going to let it go fast because I don't want to be here all day. It can do it. It really can, and I'll show you what it looks like. My maker's going to work. So that's going to be that layer, right? We're going to let it work over here, and I'm going to talk over it. After it's done doing that, it then has to do the blossom layer, the tulip part of the tulips. These are the green layers. Those are the actual leaves. If you want different color tulips, you don't want all one color, you could cut this layer twice out of different colors. It's great for scraps. It doesn't take much, and I'll show you that in a second when it lets me load it in. I am using, I've used this paper before. It's got some tulips over here, and I'm going to use this one. This is Peach from Close to My Heart. Alrighty, we are just winding down. Okay, we're going to kick that out. Alright, let's bring you down so that you can see what this looks like. This is, I am using a piece of scrap paper here too. Remember, when you take your paper off of your mat, you're going to flip it over and you're going to take the mat away from the paper. Gently, ever so gently, make sure that you get all those little pieces. Those are the leaves. You don't want anything to rip. Here you go. All right, so that's what you have left. I use this to keep it, to scrape off these little pieces. And then the next layer I told you was the peach layer. So let's put peach on here, and we'll let this cut while we work with it, okay? I'll put peach in my machine. And, whoops, it got stuck to the back. And I will come back here and we'll work on that one for a minute. All right, so we're gonna let peach cut over here. So this we're gonna save as our scrap. And this is our actual overlay. So we're just gonna make sure all these little pieces come out gently. Okay, and then these little pieces too. Now some things that you could do. You could color these if you wanted and not cut the next layer. You could just color, I'm sorry, with your markers or your colored pencils. I'm going to bring in my card front so that you can see it. So there's my card front. Notice it comes all scored. So you just fold it. So you can see this is going to pop right on here. Now, I like white on white because I think it's really cool, right? But you could put something back here if you wanted to. I wanted to show you some cool options. So you could take some really pretty pattern paper. These are the mix-in colors for March, April, May in Close to My Heart. I could pop this back here. Look what you would see. It almost looks like a rainy day. I take the glare of this out, it's too glary. So I could cut a piece of pattern paper that would go in there, that would fit nicely with my trimmer. I wouldn't need anything fancy schmancy. And I'm gonna do the same size as my overlay. So my overlay, and if you don't remember what it is, let's go back into Design Space for a minute. I'm going to unload because now my blossoms are done. But if you wanted to cut that piece of paper and you're like, well, what was that? I don't know. Just say cancel for a sec. It's going to have to think again, but it's okay. Say yes. And come back here. This is what I'm going to use to help me know what size to cut my pattern paper with. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't like a trimmer, doesn't want to do that, you could do this. Watch. Take a shape, and it's 4 by 5.25. So I'm going to take you. I'm going to unlock the proportions right there. I'm going to say 4. Whoops, not 42. 4 by 5.25. Okay. Now let's assume that's that really cool paper I showed you, that blue. Let me just do that so you can see it. And so you're gonna let Cricut do all the cutting. I'm gonna arrange, and I'm gonna send this to the back so that we can see it. So this is how this is going to fit perfectly under my overlay, right? So I could do that, and I could let Cricut do the cutting, or I could use my trimmer, or like me, I could just say, yeah, no, I just want white. I'll show you another option that you can do in a minute. Let's get this cutting though. All right, so the card that I showed you, I already did you. I only need to do this green. I'm going to say continue. Let me bring you back here so you can see. This is the peach layer, and this is, I wanted to show you this because it does cut that tiny little font, no problem. And again, I used medium cardstock. I used my light blue mat and the fine point, premium fine point blade. All right, so take these guys off and kind of line them up in order so that when you go to put them on top of the tulips, you'll have them in the right order. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but line them up. Now, come on. Now the tricky part is we got to get this hello spring, and it's really tiny. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to flip this over. We're going to kind of bend it back, and we're going to take this off gently. If you have a spatula, you could use that, but you want to be really careful. This is super easy to rip. All right, there's hello, and I'm going to do the same thing with spring, but what you're going to notice is that tiny little dot for the eye, right? It's really little. It's that little itty bitty piece. So I took this, which is my little weeding tool. Look how little that is. Seriously, it's microscopic, but it's going to go right here. Let me not have it on white so that you can see it. It's going to go right there, right, for spring. The easiest thing to do, you could put a dab of liquid glue or just put a little, ever so much of your adhesive and then drop that down. That, my friends, is the hardest part, right? Okay, so let me get going on the green while we work some more on this. So we're going to put our green down. I could trim this, but it's working this way. Pop you in, and we're going to let Cricut do the magic. Bring you back here. Remember, we're going to cut medium cardstock. If you are not using close to my heart cardstock and you're struggling and your machine, you've done the blue mat like I suggested, you've got the premium fine point, but your machine's just not doing it, it's ripping, it's tearing, it's not going right, come up here, and I suggest you go with intricate cuts. Still, if you're using a cardstock, what that's going to do is it's going to cut not as heavy pressure, but it's going to cut it out twice. So it's going to go over it once lightly and then go back over it again, and you will have better luck. So if you're struggling with it and you're not using close to my heart, then don't use the medium cardstock, use the intricate. Okay, I'm going to let that go, and that is going to cut out the little green part down here. It's going to cut out the leaves. It's also going to cut out the tulips. But this is following Cricut design methodology. Sounds serious, right? This is how Cricut creates their images. And it works. So, hey, me too. So I'm going to do that. And in the meantime, I'm going to get that extra off. I'm going to put Hello Spring down. And I have to get these little itty bitty pieces out, and that's why my weeding tool is here in the L's, right? And in the E. Get out of there. And then the way I put these down is I flip it over, so it's upside down, and I gently take my adhesive, and I kind of get adhesive on my fingers, but it rolls right off. And roll it and turn it this way. Now you can use liquid. I am not a liquid adhesive girl. just not. And then you're going to line this up and pop it down. You've got the shadow that shows you exactly where it goes. So it's super easy. Get it where you want it and then push it down. Because I'm using that adhesive, there might be a few goobers on the side. And I just kind of roll them off with my fingernail. All right, there's hello. And here comes spring. It's dainty. Now, if you are not a big fan of this idea, you think, wait, this is just too detail-y for me. You could turn this into a write layer and let Cricut do the writing. We'll do that on another card, not today. Or you could use your vinyl, because vinyl is already sticky. Get off my finger, don't rip that. Thank you. And then I just gotta line this baby up. There we go. Hello, spring. Let's bring you in so that you can see it. Okay? Super simple, right? I know, easy for me to say. All right, so now, last part is our green leaves. Again, same thing. I'm gonna flip you over, peel you off. If I just grab this and peel, you'll see that it kind of curls up, and I don't want that. So I just flip it over, peel my mat away from my flowers, and I'm just going to line these guys in. Right, see where they go? Now I could just leave these green. I could have painted them. I could have colored them with my markers. I could use some shimmer. Lots of choices. I could have left them white. White on white is really pretty, but since I didn't, I have these. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do the same thing for this that I did the letters. Just put a little adhesive back here and a little on the leaves. They don't need a lot to stick. Hey Gina, welcome. Okay, there's that. And I'm just going to go right through the entire tulip garden. If it goes, see this one's a little too tall. If I'm gentle, I can move them. Right, line them up. That's why I do like this mono air. It makes it easy to work with. And also remember, close to my heart is light on one side, dark on the other, just a shade. So I could have flipped this over if I kind of wanted to change up my leaves a little. I wanted a lighter one and a darker one. I could do that. And I'd have to flip over my tulip blossoms too, but I could. So here we go. All right, so then one more trick is we're going to have to put the blossoms on, right? And again, it looks like you were like incredible. Hey, Sheila. It looks like you were just like so busy. You weren't. The Cricut did all the work. But we don't tell anybody. They think we fussy cut these little tulips. Okay, now the part that I said that I really like, those little foam dot things, which I've lost in my travels here. And we've got more, no, not to worry. These guys are pretty cool. So I'm going to just take these and I'm going to just pop them right on the center of each one of these tulips right here. They're sticky on the back side, and then I have to peel the white paper off the top. But this lets me get them in position, right? And then I just peel off the top. Then don't swish them on the floor or you end up with them all over your feet. And then when you walk, they end up in the other room, in the bathroom, on top of the dog. So just, I try to scooch them. They're like when you punch holes and stuff, you end up with tons. Now, if you're an inky person, I am not, but you could ink all these if you wanted. So this just sits right here. How easy that is, right? And this makes this look like the craziest, most detailed tulip garden you've ever seen, and it's really simple. Line them up. Now again, different colors, just cut that layer twice with other colors. If you wanted to make more than one card, remember you can do that in Design Space up at the top where it says the number. It'll say 1 and you can just up it to as many as you want. So you know we've got that detail. I don't know if you can see. Whoops, too far. Here, see the detail on our flowers? Okay, we're going to flip her over. Couple of options. You could just put your adhesive on and be done. Again, I really like these, so I'm going to use more. I'm going to do the same thing. It takes me longer to do this, but it looks so cool when you get done, right? And I'm not going to do this on the edges because I want the edges to stick. So I'm going to use my adhesive on the edges, but I'm going to let my tulips and my sentiment pop up. One more thing before I stick this down. Remember we talked about doing pattern paper that would show through here? You could also, you could stamp right here. Now nothing is going to stick yet because I didn't peel those papers off. So if I put this down, I could stamp something in here. I could stamp a scene. I could stamp a person. I could put another sentiment. I could put a poem. Or I can just leave it white on white. I like the white on white because it's just so simple and pretty, right? Okay, so then I'm going to take you and I'm going to run my adhesive on these edges of my overlay. This can be cut with the Cricut Joy. If you are a Cricut Joy user, you don't have to use the full-size maker. That's what's really cool. When you're doing my regular overlays, my scrapbook overlays, yes, you have to use a Cricut. It's too big. Those are 11.5 by 11.5. But these little puppies are super cute, and they're minis. And if you've been with me for a while or have heard me talk before, I like anything miniature. I just think it's so cool. You'd think I'd be tiny. I'm not. But, oops, my thumb's stuck. Get off me. There. These things are super sticky. They really are. These little foam dots. Get going. Almost there. I know you're excited. Oh, you can also stamp inside your card. Don't forget to put a sentiment inside. I am the queen of simple. I don't do a lot of detail, but oh my goodness, what you can add to this once you get started. Think about the bling you could add, the ink. You could run this through an embossing folder. So your overlay would be embossed. That would be really cool. When you get it the way you want it, you just take your card base, line this up. Now you only have to measure or keep it even in one section. So I like to pick the bottom because it's closer to me. Line this up and then drop it and then work my way up to the top. And we are good to go. Right? Now you can look down and you can see the detail. This pops up even more, the blossoms, because they have a foam dot under here, but then the whole flower has a foam dot against your card. Super cute. And then you've got your envelopes in the package so that you could add more to that if you wanted. You could add tulips to the outside if you're going to hand deliver this. Cut 2 of these and 2 of these and line these up on the envelope and add a little something extra there. All right. Well, I can't wait to see what choices you make. I kept this as simple as possible, but it doesn't have to be. See you soon. Bye.